Picture this scenario. It is a ritual we have all participated in, likely without realizing we were the victim of a calculated psychological experiment. You walk into a movie theater. The air is thick with the scent of artificial butter. You are hungry, but you are also trying to be financially responsible. You've been watching your budget lately, so you tell yourself, I'm just going to get the small popcorn. I don't need the bucket. I don't need the extra 3,000 calories. And I certainly don't need to spend $10 on exploded corn. You reach the counter. You look up at the glowing menu board. The small popcorn is $6. It feels expensive for what it is, basically air and salt, but you accept it. That's the movie tax. Then, your eyes slide to the right. The large popcorn, the massive tub that looks like a literal trash can, is $8. Your brain does a quick check. $2 more for triple the volume? It seems like a lot, but then, right in the middle, you see the trap. The medium popcorn is $7.50. Suddenly, your brain stops being a budgeting tool and starts being a calculator. You think, wait a minute, the medium is $7.50. The large is only 50 cents more? It would be objectively stupid to buy the medium. I'm getting way more value if I just spend the extra 50 cents for the large. So, you buy the large. You walk away hugging that massive bucket, feeling like a savvy consumer who just hacked the system. You feel like you got a deal. But, you didn't get a deal. You got played. You walked in intending to spend $6. You walked out spending $8. You spent 33% more than you planned, solely because the theater placed a medium option on the board that they never actually expected you to buy. That medium popcorn isn't a product. It is a psychological weapon known as the Decoy Effect, and it is draining your bank account every single day. My name is Bobby, and I spend way too much time thinking about the dark arts of menu engineering and the behavioral economics that corporations use to hack our decision-making processes. If you are someone who constantly finds themselves spending just a little bit more than you budgeted, or if you wonder why you always end up with the premium subscription instead of the basic one, stay with me. Today, we aren't talking about interest rates or stock markets. We're talking about why your brain is mathematically illiterate when presented with three options, and how marketing teams use a concept called asymmetric dominance to force you to upsell yourself, without them ever saying a word. Here is the fundamental truth about the human brain. We are terrible at judging absolute value. If I showed you a high-end 6-cylinder engine piston and asked you how much it costs, you would have no idea. Is it $50? $500? $5? We don't know the intrinsic value of things in a vacuum. We are comparative creatures. We function like biological Geiger counters. We can only measure the value of a thing in relation to the things sitting directly next to it. Marketing executives know this. They know that if they present a product in isolation, you might decide it's too expensive. But if they present it alongside a decoy, an option that is deliberately designed to look terrible, the expensive product suddenly looks like a bargain. To see this in action, let's look at the grandmasters of this craft, Apple. Go to their website right now and try to buy an iPad or an iPhone. You won't just see one price. You'll see a ladder of storage options. Let's say the base model is 64 gigabytes for $400. You think, that's my budget. But then you see the next step up, 256 gigabytes for $550. That's a $150 jump. It feels steep. But then, you see the third option, 512 gigabytes for $650. Now, look at the math from the brain's perspective. The jump from 64 gigabytes to 256 gigabytes was $150. But the jump from 256 gigabytes to 512 gigabytes, double the storage, is only $100 more. Suddenly, that middle option makes the top-tier 512 gigabytes model look reasonable. The middle tier is priced awkwardly high to push you up the ladder. You walk in wanting to spend $400 and walk out spending $650, convinced that it was the smart, logical choice, because of the value per gigabyte. You just paid $250 for storage space you might never even fill. This phenomenon was famously studied by behavioral economist Dan Ariely. He noticed something bizarre on the subscription page for The Economist magazine. They offered 3 options: a web-only subscription for $59, a print-only subscription for $125, and a web plus print subscription for $125. Read that again. The print-only and the web plus print were the exact same price. It made no logical sense. Why would anyone buy just the print version when you could get the digital version included for free? O'Reilly ran a study with students. When all 3 options were present, almost everyone chose the $125 combo deal. It felt like a steal. But when O'Reilly removed the Decoy, the print-only option, the preference flipped. Most students chose the cheaper $59 web-only option. The middle option was useless as a product, but it was essential as a psychological anchor. Its only job was to make the $125 price tag feel like a victory instead of a rip-off. This architecture of choice isn't just about popcorn and iPads. This hack applies to the biggest purchases of your life. A veteran real estate agent knows how to weaponize the Decoy effect. Let's say your budget is $500. The agent shows you house A. It's nice, fits your criteria, and is listed at $500,000. But you're hesitant. Then, they show you house B. This is the Decoy. It's also listed at $500,000. But it's a disaster. The roof is sagging. The kitchen smells like 1974. And it's right next to a noisy highway. The agent knows you won't buy house B. They're showing it to you to reset your baseline. After seeing the dump, that is house B, house A suddenly looks like a palace. You stop scrutinizing the cracks in the driveway of house A, because at least it's not house B. Then, they show you house C at $525,000. It's slightly better than house A because you've been primed by the terrible Decoy. You are far more likely to stretch your budget to $525,000, feeling like you're getting a premium deal, rather than negotiating hard on the $500,000 house. We see this in the automotive industry too, with trim levels. You see an ad for a car starting at $30. That's the hook. You go to the dealership and sit in the base model. It has plastic hubcaps and no heated seats. It feels cheap. Then you see the limited trim for $40. That's a massive $10 jump. It hurts your soul. But wait, there's the premium trim for $38. It has 90% of the features of the limited model. The dealer has priced the premium so close to the limited that you think, well, for only $2 more over a 5-year loan, I might as well get the fully loaded one. The premium trim is the Decoy. It exists to make the jump from base to limited feel frictionless. They are managing your pain. Once you've mentally committed to spending $38, the leap to $40 feels like a rounding error. The danger of the Decoy effect is that it creates upsell leakage in your budget. Your discretionary spending is constantly being inflated by 20% or 30% because of these choices. Think about Starbucks. They use the tall, grande, venti pricing to perfection. The price difference between a grande and a venti is usually minimal, maybe 40 cents, but the volume difference is significant. You almost always upsell yourself to the venti because your brain tells you it's a better deal. But is it? If you didn't actually need 20 ounces of liquid sugar and caffeine, you didn't save money. You spent 40 cents extra. We are bleeding thousands of dollars a year in value upgrades that we didn't need. We have become efficient shoppers buying inefficient amounts of stuff. Why does our brain fall for this? It comes down to loss aversion. When we see the medium popcorn for $7.50 and the large for $8, our brain interprets buying the medium as a loss. We feel like we are leaving popcorn on the table. We hate losing more than we love winning. The marketer creates a scenario where the only way to avoid the feeling of being ripped off is to spend more money. It is a masterful manipulation of our evolutionary drive to maximize resources. This is also a major driver of the middle-class squeeze. When you get a raise, you go shopping for a new life. But the market is filled with decoys. You look for a new apartment. The 1-bedroom is $2. The 2-bedroom is $2.800. The 2-bedroom with a city view is $2.950. You justify the extra $950 a month because the comparison between the standard 2-bedroom and the view unit makes the view look cheap. You stop asking, "Can I afford $2,950?" and start asking, "Which of these is the best deal?" Those are two very different questions. The first question protects your wealth. The second question destroys it. We see this in software as a service, SaaS, too. Go to any pricing page. You'll see 3 columns: Basic, Pro, and Enterprise. Almost always, the basic plan is garbage. It is the decoy. It exists to make you hate it. The Pro plan is highlighted in a bright color. It says, most popular. The price is calibrated to be painful but acceptable compared to the limited basic plan. They are sheepdogs, and you are the sheep. They built the entire maze to force you into the Pro hallway. So, how do we fight back? How do we protect our hard-earned money? First, recognize the ugly brother. When you're shopping, look for the decoy. Once you spot it, the spell is broken. You can say, "Oh, I see what you're doing. You put that there to make me buy the expensive one." Naming the manipulation neutralizes it. Second, define your absolute needs before you ever look at the menu. If you're going to the movies, decide in the car, "I want a small popcorn." When you get to the counter, put on your blinders. Do not look at the medium. Do not do the math. The math is a trap. Finally, use the unit cost fallacy against them. We are obsessed with getting the best price per ounce. But you cannot deposit price per ounce into your savings account. You can only deposit dollars. Efficiency doesn't matter if the consumption is wasteful. It is always better to overpay slightly for exactly what you need than to get a great deal on a bunch of excess you don't need. The decoy effect is a tax on your attention span. Corporations are betting that you will always choose the path of least psychological resistance, which is the upsell. Prove them wrong. Be the person who orders the small popcorn. Be the person who drives the base model car. Be the person who keeps their money in their pocket, instead of trading it for a perceived value that disappears the moment you walk out the door. If this video made you realize you've been upselling yourself your whole life, share it with a friend who always orders the venti coffee. We need to stop letting menus control our bank accounts. Thanks for watching, Cost of Being. I'll see you in the next one. Remember, true wealth isn't about how much you can buy, it's about how much you can keep.